So hope the slide is visible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So good afternoon, everyone. Hearty welcome to the national level FDP on quality teaching and learning in higher educational institutions. So as it has been introduced, that this is the fourth session of the FDP, and I'm myself Dr. Rishmi, and I will be delivering the topic e-content development for teachers. So before going into the presentation, let me thank the organizers of IoT Academy for inviting me as today's resource person. And I equally welcome all the participants to this session. So the topic that I have chosen is e-content development for teachers. So e-content or the electronic content, as far as the teachers are concerned, it has become mandatory, or rather essential, to develop the topics and areas through e-content, and the development of content in the digital format and delivering of this e-content to a wide range of audience, including the students at the various educational sectors studying at the UG or PG level, has really become the need of the hour. As we all live in a technologically based society, technology dominates us to a greater extent that it has made a remarkable and tremendous influence in the field of teaching as such. So we are right now, the teaching fraternity, we are being exposed to a student audience who are more prone to technological skills, and the teachers should never stand behind or beneath them. So it is very highly challenging for the teachers to compete with these students to deliver the e-content. So whatever the fact or whatever the challenges may be, there are the some of the easy tips through which we can develop e-content, and so the thorough knowledge on the particular topic alone is sufficient for you to develop any content. And with this thorough knowledge and with the thorough homework, you can proceed further. And in between, you can just come up with the various interesting audio, visual, and some animation if needed, not necessary. And if you have a good PowerPoint presentation, or if you have a good layout and structure, we can all become good developers of e-content. So with this, I'm moving ahead with my presentation. So these are the key topics I would like to cover through this presentation. I will be going through a detailed definition of e-content. Next, I will be examining e-content as an effective tool for teaching, or how it has become a very significant tool for the teaching learning process. And next, I will be discussing about the various types of e-content. And as we all know that e-content cannot be developed all of a sudden. There are various steps or strategies or various procedures involved behind the development of e-content. So we'll be looking all these aspects in detail. And next, I will be giving you some important tips that you have to bear in mind while you prepare a good e-content, and which are the various multimedia tools which assist us in developing the e-content. And I will be sharing with you a sample e-content based on a topic from my area of literature, and based on that, you can also prepare any content based on your subject expertise. And next, we will be examining the various outcomes or the results of e-content development. So this is how I structure my presentation. Yes. So let us look what is e-content. So when a content or when a subject matter is being delivered either in an electronic or a digital format, it can be the content as well as the information, but the medium should be electronic or digital format. We can call it as an e-content. So this content, the preparation of the content and delivering the content are both important stages in the e-content development. Preparation alone is, yes.
Ma'am, can you please hide that stop sharing option, ma'am?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Hide. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So the the content preparation as well as delivery are both important in the content development. And the second important thing that you have to take into account is that the content should be delivered based on network-based electronic devices. You can rely on internet, you can rely on satellite broadcast or mobile technology. There should be a platform for you to share the content. So you can make use of these different available sources and you can deliver the content. And next we have the next important highlight or advantage of e-content is that e-content always generates an individualized form of learning. As such, the individual are more free and flexible enough to learn. The students, as far as the students are concerned, when you share an e-content to a particular group of students, yes, they can learn from their own pace because they can replay the audio, they can replay the video, they can go through the slides again and again for multiple times, infinite times. And so it create some kind of individualized. They can pause and they can again play it, restart. So it creates some kind of individualized form of learning, and as such, it creates a flexible atmosphere and platform. And next, let me introduce the various platforms through which the e-content can be effectively delivered. The first one is the web-based learning. The web-based learning based on the web resources available in the internet. So you can, before preparing a topic as e-content, you can refer the web, the different sources available in the internet, and based on the good sites and based on the resourceful academic sites, you can copy the content, you can translate it into your own language, into a meaningful way. Always try to make the language as simple as possible, because all the students may not be in a position to understand the highly complicated language. So web-based learning is very effective. Next is computer-based learning. Of course, you need a computer assistance. The assistance of a computer is essential if you rely on the content. Or sometimes mobile phones can also help you, provided it is a smartphone. And next is the virtual classrooms. As we are all familiar with the virtual classrooms, how do these virtual classrooms engage the teachers during the COVID pandemic 19, and how we all of a sudden, how we shifted our teaching methodology from the physical classrooms to the virtual classrooms using the Google Meet or the Google Classrooms, Edmodo. So we have been introduced to several such virtual platforms where we engage the students virtually. So this is also another important platform. And next we have the digital collaboration. So if you are going to combine all these platforms together, for the transmission of any content, we call it as digital collaboration. So these are the important platforms for the preparation of e-content. Next, effective tool for teaching. How and when e-content becomes a very effective tool for teaching. So the rapid development in information and communication technology, as we are witnessing in the 21st century, and the integration of ICT, at all levels of education, right from the primary, secondary, high secondary, and the higher education, the collegiate level. So all these so whichever the level may be, or when you examine the different levels of education, you can see the combining or integration of ICT, and this has become the common procedure or process of the hour. And as such, the e-content development is increasing on an accelerated rate. And next is the drastic change in the educational system. So our educational system has changed. It has moved beyond the traditional four-wall classrooms. The teacher's role has been changed drastically. The teachers are no more mere lecturers. They have shifted their place from lecturer to facilitators. They support the students in the teaching process. So the traditional teaching environment as well as the learning environment has undergone a major shift. And now we have the virtual classrooms along with the face-to-face teaching scenario, and the teachers have become good facilitators, guides, motivators in such a classrooms. So next we can examine the teaching in a techno-savvy era. So a teacher to become competent enough to teach in the technological age require good e-content with adequate techno-pedagogical skills. So even if it is in a physical classroom, we try to impart the pedagogical skills. Pedagogy is the art of learning, and the teachers provide good methodologies. The teachers must know about the pedagogical or the how then idea should be imparted to the students. So all these skills are being given prime importance while you prepare a valid e-content. And next, e-content is a highly resourceful and potential tool offering the newest methods of education. So you can rely on e-content because it is to prepare an e-content, it requires hours of hard work, and only if you are good enough, or only if you become resourceful, and you can prepare a very good e-content. Similarly, e-content, once you prepare the e-content, it will be definitely be a very good potential tool, because try to integrate all the newest methods of education. And once you prepare the content, you can share with the new batches or the coming batches, upcoming batches, the future batches, provided you need to update if the content has gone any updation. And next is yes, this is in these ways we can say that e-content has become a very effective tool to disseminate information through the development of creative contents. So the creativity is another important feature of behind the development of the e-content. So here I will be introducing you to the different forms or types of e-content. Most of these forms are well familiar to you. The visual, we can begin with the visual e-content. Under visual, we include both images and graphics. Next, we have the text as an important form of e-content. Next, the internet applications, the applications or the software from the internet, which helps us to transmit e-content. Then we have the educational games through which we can provide it as an exercise. We can share these educational games, and we can measure the learning objectives or learning outcome of the students. Then we have the electronic journals. Then we have the database. Then we have the presentations in the form of PPTs. Then audio files, video. Then we have the animation, simulations. Then interactives. We have electronic books. And we among the immersive content, we have two types of realities. One is the augmented reality, and the other is virtual reality. Virtual reality takes place to a completely virtual atmosphere, and whereas augmented reality, it combines both the virtual as well as the physical reality. And we have the energized books, that is the QR coded scan books with us, through which so this is also a form of e-content. So we have ample sources, types and forms of e-content, and so we can make use of these resources. We can rely on it. We can prepare based on our topic and our area. How to choose an area for e-content? How is it possible? How we can choose an area? The discipline from which we belong to, it may vary from one person to another, but whichever be the area, first you have to identify an area. Yes, an area should definitely come to your. So next step is that you must convert that area into an interesting format, so that you can easily prepare a very good e-content. And more importantly, that e-content must be highly engaging. You must prepare in such a way that you are actually not talking to the students in the physical mode, but you are just going to share it through the digital platforms. So try to include as many examples as possible, try to include as many exercises as possible, so that they will think more about it. The critical thinking and the logical reasoning of the students must be increased. In that way, you can make it more engaging and appealing. And interactive teaching is the another of e-content. Yes, the teaching, it should not be just like the teacher communicating or teacher becoming highly resourceful on the topic. The student should also we must know the goals before developing the e-content. It is to develop the knowledge, comprehension of the students. So to increase the comprehension and knowledgeability of the students, you should prepare. The teachers must be in a position to interact with them, and through exercises and examples. So what are the major requirements for choosing any content area? You must have an expert knowledge in the subject area. Of course, we are all experts in our own subject domains, whether science or humanities or commerce or whichever the technology, whichever the area may be. So you have to pick out a topic. So this should be just like how to prepare the first e-content, the area which you are too much confident upon, and thoroughly you have to spend few hours or few days for preparing, and in between you can add some kind of creativity so as to structure and sequence the topics of the e-content. These are the prime requirements. Next, we can see the characteristics of good e-content. Of course, a good e-content must have a visual and a pleasing outlook. It should be just like, we must feel like a little bit kind of attraction towards a good e-content. The outline, the layout, the structure, everything should be appeasing, or it must have a pleasing outlook. And next, we must be able to connect it with the audience. Once it is shared to the audience must not feel that why the teacher has shared the content to me. Yes, they must know the area. So they must know that it is connected to their syllabus, or it is connected to a particular module. So there should be some kind of connection. So you must create some kind of interest and curiosity as to connect with the audience. And the next important highlight of a good e-content is that it must be in an interactive mode. It should not be in the lecture mode. You can explain one aspect, then you can bring out the examples to prove it, then you can add some images, then you can ask some questions. Of course, you can provide the answers, but maybe in the next slide or like that. So it should be highly interactive. Next, the clear learning objectives. As we begin with a course or with a paper, the university will prescribe the clear learning objectives of the particular e-content. So all these learning objectives must be clearly reflected in your preparation as well. And the area must be highly focused. Make your language as simple as possible. So because we are not going to deliver this e-content only to the particular degree of students. All the students of varying degree must benefit from the e-content, and so you may try to make your content as simple as possible. So it again, here lies the creativity and ability of the teacher, how to make it or how to break down a complicated subject matter as simple as possible. Next, we need to utilize the time and space. The lengthy videos or lengthy PPTs will not create a good interest among these students. So try to minimize the number of PPTs and try to utilize the available space in the best possible way. And next, the ultimate thing that the teacher must get after preparing the e-content is satisfaction, that he or she has prepared the e-content in the best possible way. So if you've experienced this kind of satisfaction, then I am quite sure that that e-content will be one of the best e-content that you have ever prepared. So satisfaction, as for the teaching itself or for any other profession, it's very necessary that we should have some kind of sense of gratification and satisfaction to our own job. And next, let us examine the various phases and stages in e-content development. So the effective delivery of e-content requires journey through different phases. Let us read out the phases. The first one is the analysis phase. I will be explaining all these phases in detail. The second is the design phase. Then third, we have the development phase. Next, we have the testing phase. Then comes the implementation phase. And last but not the least is the evaluation phase. And together, when we take down the first letters of these different phases, we get altogether a new model like the ADDTIE or ADDIE model. So this is the analysis. The first phase is the analysis phase, which we call by the other name, that is the planning phase. So before preparing the content, we need to plan what all things we need to include. What are the should we cater to the learning objectives? Should we the two important criteria that you need to meet in the analysis or the planning phase is, one is the need analysis and the second is the audience analysis. What is this need analysis? Yes, so it is based on a particular need that you start to preparing the e-content. It's not for the teacher satisfaction alone. It's to make the understanding level, or to clarify the critical concepts clear. You begin with preparing any content. So the need analysis is very important, and similarly the audience analysis. If you're preparing for the primary students, your need will be, the audience will be different. So you need to bring down the content as clear as possible. And so if you're preparing for the UG students, again you need to make it little more standardized as per the syllabus and modules. Your language should be refined. And similarly, if you're preparing for the PG students, then again the thorough preparation, and you can use more the high sounding concepts and videos. And if it is for the research scholars, again, you need to be research oriented while preparing the content. So the audience really matters when you prepare any content. And next, you have to identify the current status of the learner's understanding. How good or their current knowledge, or do they have a previous link with the knowledge before? Then what are they good at, the various skills, enhancement of skills, etc. And the level of the target audience. Then delivery methods are also important. Through which medium you are planning to deliver? Is it through YouTube, or is it through WhatsApp, or is it through mail, or is it through any social media? So the instructional problem is clarified during the analysis phase. The instructional problem, the problem related to instruction. It is with this problem that we started to choose this particular area. The instructional goals and objectives are established during this phase, and the learning environment is clearly identified. So these are the different aspects that we discuss under analysis phase. Of course, there are some questions that we need to be focused on. Who your learners are? Yes, who are your target audience, and what are the goals you are trying to achieve, the instructional learning objectives, and what are the overall knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors that need to be taught. So you must have a proper understanding and information about the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that you are going to include in the e-content. And what is the amount of the e-content, or what is the level of the necessary content? Whether you should stick to 5 minutes duration, or whether you stick to 5 slides or 10 slides, you must have a clear-cut idea. So every aspects you plan regarding the content, you plan in this analysis or the planning phase. And what are the resources? Resources either from the web or from the internet? What are the major resources required for you to prepare the e-content, and whether the required resources are available or not? It's based on the availability of these resources that we plan further. And next phase is the design phase, or the structuring phase. We also call it as blueprint phase. So after the analysis or the planning phase comes the design phase. It is during this design phase we give a very detailed structure to the e-content. A structure is very necessary. So planning alone is not sufficient. We need to we need to structure it using a layout. And so as such, this phase deals with the learning objectives. Is in the planning phase, we have tried to establish the learning goals. Here we particularly deal with the learning objectives. Then we are going to, through this e-content, we are going to assess the students in various ways. We are going to provide them exercises related to the content. Then we will be giving a detailed introduction to the content. We will be going to analyze the subject matter. We will be including the lesson plan, then media selection, which media we will rely on so as to deliver the e-content. So the design of the content, the chapters and the modules, platform of delivery, everything will be determined in the design phase or the structuring phase. So in the planning phase, we just bring all our wild ideas together. But it's only in the design phase, we, after identifying the area, we fix the chapters, how many chapters we have to prepare, how many modules particularly we have to focus on, and the platform of delivery. And there are some of the important questions that we ask in the design phase. These are the questions: how will the content and activities be sequenced, presented, and reinforced? So how is it possible to sequence and reinforce, or to proceed further with the content and activities? So we have the content, so still we haven't prepared the content, but we have planned which are the content that we need to be used. So here we will be creating a sequence: which content should come first, which should be followed after the first content, and which should be placed at the end. So here a sequencing procedure is maintained or planned. And next we need to each session or each module or each chapter will have different learning objectives, so we are bringing out these objectives one after the another. The next, what skills and outcomes that we are going to achieve is it another important aspect. Then we need to think about the methodology. What are the important methods that we are going to use to achieve the objectives? And next, which media resources will be used in the instruction? There are different media or resources available, so which one we should use? We should have a clear cut instruction and knowledge regarding this. And finally, how you are going to assess the students' understanding of the matter. There are various evaluation tools, so which one you will adopt as a teacher, and which one will give you more reliability on the students' understanding of the matter. So these are the major questions asked in the design phase. And next we have the development phase. So this development phase is totally different from the planning phase or the analysis phase and the development or the structuring phase, because it is this phase we are actually going to write our e-content. You're going to produce the e-content or prepare the e-content. So this is the actual production phase. So you have fixed the area, you have identified the topic, you have planned how many chapters or how many modules that you are going to deliver as part of this e-content. And now you are actually going to develop the e-content design, and with the help of multimedia tools like text, audio, video, etc. So after fixing the particular chapter, you started to record your lecture using lecture using a camera and convert it into a video. And so here you are going to create and assemble the content that were blueprinted in the design phase. In the design phase, you have actually gone through a thorough homework as to you have created several you have decided to include various aspects. So make sure in the development phase that whether you come across or whether you give adequate representation to these aspects. And next, the creation of storyboards. So as you know, that storyboard is a very interesting layout where the content will be written and the graphics will be designed. So based on the picture and based on the content, it looks very attractive. So the reading alone creates very monotonous procedure or activity for the students. So you can insert beautiful pictures along with the relevant contents, which make it more visually appealing. So this phase is called the development phase. So the actual production of the content takes place in the development phase. And these are the major questions being raised in the development phase. How do I create a lesson plan? How should the content be organized? What instructor and student activities should be included? How do I provide practice for the students? What media should I use when teaching? How can I present conforming and corrective feedback? So if you get an answer to these questions, then the development phase will be cleared, or it will you will have a solution to the development phase. Next, moving on to the testing phase. So now you have planned or analyzed, you have designed, then you have produced the actual content. Now it is time that whatever you had produced as an e-content need to be tested. Yes, So we should even as teachers, we should not have this kind of self-confidence or overconfidence rather, so as that it will be free from all these errors, catering to the spelling errors, grammatical errors. So you have to check the spelling or the grammatical errors, because as it's technology, it's easy to left out the one spelling, or sometimes we miss out the grammar. So you have to check all these things before posting, and you have to check the clarity. If you are planning to include pictures, make sure that these pictures have enough clarity, or otherwise just leave out the picture, just erase the picture. Then you have to, if necessary, you need a better explanation to a particular aspect, you can insert appropriate audios, the relevant audios. Then you can also make use of hyperlinks. And finally, the content must be tested by any of your colleagues or experts in the field, or by someone whom you can trust. So this testing phase is very important. Next comes the implementation phase, the fifth phase, the implementation phase. So here actually you are going to deliver the content. Now you have done with the preparation, you have tested. So there should be a platform to deliver it. So now you are going to redesign. So you can even redesign or revision the content in this implementation phase. And once again, a thorough monitoring is done to ensure whether the quality of the content or the usability of content is matching with the level of the target audience, or something else you want to add, you can add before broadcasting. So now you are going to deliver the content through learning management softwares like Moodle or Google Classroom or Canva, WhatsApp, YouTube, etc. So these are the different delivery platforms. And during the implementation phase, the procedure for training the facilitators and learners are equally developed. So um, the the platform through which you are going to deliver the e-content may not be familiar to the students. So, and even the teachers, they may find it very difficult to understand the usage of this particular platform in the initial phase. So a proper orientation or proper training should be given both to the teachers as to students. If at all you are using a LMS or learning management software like Moodle, yes, a proper training is required. How to use it, how to install Moodle in your laptop, how to add a content, add any content, then how to how to assign the students by giving them quiz or test. So a proper training is required before the during the implementation phase. And once we become the masters, there is no need for further training. So so is a similar case for the students as well. So these are the major questions being asked in the implementation phase. How do I motivate the students? How do I introduce the lesson? What kind of questions are best to use? How do I use the PowerPoint slides or any other presentation media? How do I summarize and review each lesson or presentation? How do I use my time wisely during the lesson? So these are the major questions being asked in the implementation phase. Next, moving on to the last phase, that is the evaluation phase. So evaluation phase, you prepare the content, you deliver the content. Now it is time to gather feedback from the learners, because they are going to listen it, or if it is your peers or instructors, you can also gather feedback from them. And test and assignments. How do a teacher realizes that the students have comprehended the subject matter? Through giving test and assignments. So you can also post the test and assignments using Google Forms, Hot Potatoes, Google Classrooms. Okay, then next. Here as well, we have certain objectives, the evaluation objectives. So in the analysis phase, we have clearly laid down the evaluation objectives. And so now we can include these objectives when we conduct the test or quiz, so that the expectation of the learners will clearly be comprehended. So these are the evaluation phase also carries some of the typical questions like, how do I know if my course has been successful? Which expert should review the materials before the course is presented to the students? What are the changes should be made to improve the course after it is presented? So based on this, we can we can get a clear understanding about the evaluation phase. And next, let me introduce some of the best practices of e-content development. So while preparing e-content, which are some of the basic guidelines that you must follow to make your e-content free from errors and mistakes. So these are actually the tips to prepare good e-content. The first is the creation of visual images. Yes, of course, you try to incorporate at least some of the visual images in your slides or in your videos. So what are the things that you must remember? The first thing is that the image must have clarity, as well as it must be related to the subject chosen. The moment the student or the target audience comes in contact with your e-content, they should feel that yes, we are learning or we are watching a content very relevant to the subject. So the clarity of image is very important. Next, you have to remember about the rule. This rule is known as the rule of thirds. And what is this rule of thirds? That is, graphics should not cover 1/3 of the e-content. It should be lesser. It should not be like that. You are creating a page where the graphics dominate the screen and the content is just placed in one corner of the screen. So graphics should not cover the content. You can use the ratio of the graphics, just 1:3. The content should be 3 and the graphics should be 1, so that it creates a very good looking visual appealing appearance, as well as the content will be read by the audience. Then always try to use the natural light. Don't use that means make the colors and fonts of your presentation as simple as possible, so that it creates clarity to the audience. And make sure that there is enough contrast so that the graphic image is clear in the e-content platform. Yes, so the graphic image should be clear in the e-content platform. You can use graphic images, but again, it should have clarity. Then you can choose the Canva color wheel. Here you can see the picture of Canva, the image of Canva color wheel. Using the Canva color wheel, you will, it's just a color wheel where you can see the different pictures. You can pick a color or you can choose the color combination. It will provide you with a different color. So you can choose the complementary colors from the wheel. It is depicted in the form of a wheel, and hence the name Canva color wheel. So always tries to keep your graphics as simple as possible. Of course, we use graphics to give an attractive outlook, but don't make it over attractive. Then next, we have a application like pexels.com, through which you can search for a particular topic. You can select a picture based on the theme. You can download it for free, and if necessary, you can modify as well. Pexels.com. And creation of presentations. If you are going with a PPT presentation or a slide presentation, you have to keep your layout very simple as possible. Overcrowding of words and sentences must be avoided. Instead, you can pick out the phrases or the keywords or the key concepts rather than writing in full-fledged sentences. You have to limit your animations. Of course, you can use audio and video, but it must not be filled with animations. And PowerPoint is said to be the king of presentations. So, of course, you can rely on PowerPoint when you prepare e-content. And here I will be I would like to introduce two PowerPoint presentation softwares. One is the Prezi. You can browse the, you can go and browse the Prezi website. You can see wonderful slides being created on various topics ranging across disciplines, and even you can convert your created PPT to the Prezi presentation. And next we have the Canva software. It also create good looking presentations with visuals. Then data visualizations and collaborations are made more easy and accessible through Canva software. Next, the creation of videos. Here you have to pick a topic. You have to choose a format for the content. Then the screen can be recorded using screen recorder software. So first thing is that you have to pick a topic. Then you have to write a script. Then you can, if interested, you can prepare a storyboard. You can record using the software, and even after the recording, you can edit. Editing processes, options are available. You can review the work, and finally, you can produce, post on the YouTube, Facebook, and distribute to a wide variety of audience. So, screen recorder is one of the videos software. Next is the creation of animation. So animation is the art of making inanimate objects appear to move. As we all know, it is highly creative skill. So it creates a natural, not natural, it creates an artificial or artistic nature of player. And some of the one of the major animation software that I like to introduce here is the Animaker. It's a platform for the beginners, non-designers, and professionals to create animation. But always remember, don't try to crowd your e-content development with animations and layouts. Then if you want to rely on blogs, you can create a blog by your own, but a blog should be given with a very good title. Try to keep the blog as simple as possible and write with originality. Yes, it's not just like you write this and that, creating all kind of artificiality. And you have to check double or thrice before you post something, and be consistent in the post. If you're trying to post one article in or one e-content in this month, try to post in the second month or the third month. Should not be like that after 5 years or after 4 years you are posting that other content. Be creative and honest while preparing the blogs. You can allow the comments from the audience. And WordPress is a free website to start blogging. Then creation of podcast. If you want to deliver a lengthy content to a wide group of students, and if you don't have much time to prepare the slides or PPTs, then you can rely on podcast. It is a series of audio files that are hosted online. Here you have to choose a topic. You have to give a name for the podcast. You have to write the script and rehearse, take your microphone and start recording the audio. Here as well, you have to be consistent in the creation of podcast. The requirements are the good speaking skills. You should have the good command over language, and you should have a good recording software. Let me introduce two softwares through which you can prepare the podcast. One is Audacity and the other is the Buzzsprout. Audacity is a free software that can be exported and export as MP3 file. And Buzzsprout also helps to host, promote, and track the podcast. Then e-content development tools. Which are the major e-content development tools. For e-learning authoring tools, we have Articulate, Adobe Captivate, iSpring. Then for quizzing tools to prepare quiz, you have the Quizlet, Socrates. Then learning platforms like Moodle, Edmodo, Coursera, Blackboard, Learn. Then educational tools, we have TED Talks, VoiceThread. Then here as well, we have a variety of video, audio, and image tools. The photo tools, we have Adobe Photoshop, Flickr, audio tools, Audacity, video tools, YouTube and Vimeo. For animation, you can depend on Animoto, Voki, Photon, and Render Forest. Then for screen capture tools, we have this Jing Screener, Screencastify, which allows for the 5 minutes free recording. Then Screencast-O-Matic, FreeCam, and Cam Studio. Then we have this video editing, OpenShot video editor, and etc. And these are the major communication tools. For messaging tools, we have the Skype and WhatsApp. For the webinar and web meetings, we have WebEx, GoToMeeting. And the survey tools, we have Google Forms, SurveyMonkey. Then to conduct the MCQ, we have Kahoot and Mentimeter. And the networking tools regarding the public social networks, we have the Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Private social networking platforms, we have Yammer, Edmodo, Ning. So here, I'm going to give you a sample framework based on the topic I am interested. So here, I have prepared this sample framework based on the 6 different phases of e-content development. And along with that, I have added the visual effects, with audio, not audio and video. I have added the images, text, some basic graphics, and let us see how it works. Yes, so of course I must narrow my area, and I should focus on a particular area. I have chosen travel literature, as English literature is my domain area. The area is rich with various writings across the world, and I have narrowed down into travel literature. Yes, so I'm going to add some closely connected images related to travel. Yes. So the first phase is the analysis phase. So here I'm going to stress on 2 aspects. One is the need analysis, and the second is the target analysis. So what is the need analysis? So this literature is a less explored literature compared to other realms of literature. But it is having more impactful because traveling is widely conducted these days, and how it is connected to literature, or how do the travel writers they contribute to literature. So I come up with a common premise that it's a very promising area. So this is my need analysis, and with this need I have chosen this topic. And who are my target audience? PG students of my college and the neighboring colleges, for example. And next is the design phase. So in the design phase, I'm going to plan the lesson. Yes, I am going to define the travel literature, because the students may not have a proper awareness about the travel literature. Of course, they do love traveling, but when it is, how can the traveling be connected to literature? So I need to define the travel literature. I need to examine the history of travel literature. When did travel literature originate, or how do travel literature influence the writers or authors across the ages, the various types of travel writing, then readership, who are the major readers of travel literature, and the media selection I should make, and I have chosen PowerPoint. So this is the development of the actual content. I'm going to assemble and create the content based on various topics. How do I divide the content? So I could not speak for the entire 1 hour about the travel. So I'm going to break the travel literature into minute topics. I'm going to stress on the topic wise, and I need to be particular about the number of slides. If it is for 5 minutes, yes, let me stick on to the 5 slides or 4 slides. I need not have to include more slides, and I should have a proper understanding regarding the images, whether images should be added relevant to the content, or if at all I need to add little bit animation. Then after the development of the actual content, I need to test it. So whether the hyperlinks are working, so I will send to some of my colleagues, and I will seek suggestions from them. Next is the implementation phase, where I'm going to deliver the content. Of course, before my delivery, I should introduce myself, and I should acknowledge the host or organizers. Then I should deliver the final content, and I should give time for question and answer sessions. So this is how the implementation framework works effectively. And last is the evaluation phase. It's a continuous improvement or assessment phase. It's a kind of self-analysis. You are going to be evaluated based on the content prepared. So you can collect feedback from the audience, and you can even answer the questions that were being complete, that were the audience sometimes due to the time constraint they could not ask questions to you, so that even after the delivery of the content you can provide a space whereby they can raise the questions and you can answer to those questions. So this is a sample framework of any content. So my topic travel literature has been subjected to these 6 different phases, and I'm sure that if I go through these 6 different stages, the content will turn out to be very good. So these are the outcomes of e-content development. E-content creates an information-rich society. Yes. So only after mastering the ICT skills or some of the basic ICT skills that a teacher can prepare e-content. So this also requires adequate knowledge of the ICT, and it creates an information-rich society. So digital teaching, yes, it is the need of the hour, because e-content development is a kind of digital teaching, because we are not teaching based on a physical text, but we are just delivering the content through the digital platform. And of course, our generation or the student community that we are going to teach is a digitally oriented generation. So digital teaching for a digital generation is one of the major outcomes of e-content development. And the new concepts have been introduced over here. These are all the major outcomes of e-content development. Flipped classrooms. So flipped classrooms, you can instead of lecturing the entire content, you can just send a video of it, or you can send a PDF file regarding the classroom, regarding the particular subject matter. You can ask the students to prepare for the next session, and once they are back, you can just give them exercises, assignments, or tests based on these contents. So the lecturing part is absent in the flipped classrooms. So it is activity oriented classrooms are called flipped classrooms. So in the physical scenario, you are making them to do activities. The reading part or the understanding part will be done by the students according to their self-pace. And MOOCs and hybrid learning is. So the digital teaching and digital learning has actually initiated a new kind of learning, that is hybrid learning, where we combine both the digital technologies and traditional technologies. Traditional way of learning. Then learning at the self-paced rate and self-evaluation is at another highlight of e-content development. They can learn at their own self-pace. They can learn according to the convenience they want to learn at any time of the day. Doesn't matter whether it is early morning or late midnight, and they can self-evaluate based on the quiz or based on the test being posted by the teachers. They can make a self-analysis or self-evaluation that whether they have comprehended the thing or not. And updated and quick delivery of content is another outcome. Yes, the teacher needs to be thoroughly updated before delivering the e-content. And once you become updated and once you prepare the e-content, it can be quickly delivered to a large number of array of audience. And finally, the e-content development is learner friendly and learner centric. Here, learner is the pivotal focus. It's not the teacher. We are trying to make the learners more, or we are going to make the teaching as learner centric, because they are going to be the beneficiaries. So taking that thing into account, we are going to make it as learner friendly as possible. So this is my conclusion. The concluding observations go like this. The e-content development is the heart of the teaching learning process. So teaching learning process in the present era, that is in the 21st century, need to be oriented or need to be accompanied with e-content development. It has become the major soul. It has occupied the major concern of the teaching learning process. It fosters e-learning in a dynamic and innovative way. So e-learning takes place in a dynamic and flexible atmosphere, and as well you can include many innovative and new methods to impart e-learning. An environment-friendly way of teaching. You do not use papers, you do not use the hard copies. Everything is delivered in the soft copy format, so it is much friendly, environment-friendly or eco-friendly way of teaching. And inclusive education. You need not have to exclude the students from getting or becoming the beneficiaries of e-content, because it includes as many groups of students as possible. So it's a kind of inclusive education. Even the people sitting in abroad, or even the audience of the international audience, can watch your videos if you share it to the YouTube channel or the any other social media platforms. It's not just like you can make it exclusive to the particular students. Of course, there are settings, there are options whereby you can limit it to the particular audience, but in a way this kind of education includes as many target groups as possible and gives a very good exposure to e-content. So this is my final remarks and observations about e-content. E-content must be developed very effectively and very productively by all the teachers to keep pace with the technological era, as we are teaching to a digital generation. So we must be quite satisfactory enough to develop this e-content in our own possible ways. Everyone can be good. Everyone can develop good e-content in our best possible ways if you stick on to these different phases. And that's the final message that I want to convey to all my participants. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.